You ever notice how life-changing news never knocks politely? It barges in. Except on that Tuesday, it actually knocked. 6:37 p.m., doorbell rings. I'm still wearing my tie like a noose and swirling the ice in a glass of watered-down whiskey, waiting for dinner to reheat in the oven. Nothing fancy, just meatloaf and mediocrity. My wife, Emma, had texted, running late. Again. Shocker. The doorbell rang once. Then again. And that's when everything shifted. I opened the door and found a man standing there, mid-30s, polished shoes, blazer too crisp for someone knocking on a stranger's door at dusk. "Mr. Brooks?" he asked. "That's me." He gave a nod like he was about to ask me for a minute of my time to talk about solar panels. "I'm Nate. I work with your wife." That name didn't mean anything to me. Not yet. He looked nervous. "Can I come in?" he asked. Something in me knew better. That lizard brain survival instinct kicked in. But I stepped aside anyway. We sat. I offered him water out of habit, not hospitality. He declined. Then, without preamble, without even checking if I had a heart condition, he said it. "I think you should know. I've been involved with your wife, Emma." Now, people talk about adrenaline like it's some action movie surge. But what really happens is, time slows. Everything goes cold and loud at the same time. The hum of the refrigerator, the tick of the wall clock, the sudden taste of metal in your mouth. I just stared at him. He cleared his throat like he was the one who had to process it. "She told me she was separated. She said you were living apart. But then I saw the mail on her counter, pictures of you two in the hallway. Anniversary cards. It didn't add up." "So what? This is your conscience hour?" "No," he said. "This is me doing the right thing. Too late, probably. But look, I ended it. I told her I couldn't be part of the lie anymore. And I thought you deserved the same truth I got. You know what I did?" I poured him a glass of whiskey. He didn't drink it. He stood, nodded once, and walked out. Just like that. Now I was sitting at the same table Emma and I had eaten at 1,000 times, staring at a stranger's unfinished drink and a marriage I no longer recognized. And that's when her car pulled into the driveway. Still humming the same engine noise I'd heard for 6 years. Still parking too far left. The door opened. She walked in with that same tired smile and tossed her keys into the bowl by the door like she hadn't just detonated our life. I didn't say anything. Not yet. Because this wasn't a moment for yelling. This was the moment I started digging the foundation for my revenge. Emma didn't look guilty when she walked in. She looked tired. Like someone who just sat through traffic and corporate nonsense, not like someone who had a confession tucked behind her lipstick. "Hey, babe," she said casually, walking past the couch without looking at me. "Sorry I'm late. Laura scheduled this last-minute team check-in, and then I. You saw Nate today?" I asked. Just like that. No warm-up. No warning shot. Straight to the chest. She froze. 1 foot halfway out of her heels. Her eyes didn't widen. That would have been too honest. No, she went for the frown. The confused, "Oh, sweetie, what are you talking about?" face. "Nate," she repeated. "From work." "Yeah," I said, and I leaned back in the chair, the glass still sweating in my hand. Tall guy. Drives a silver Audi. Real good at making house calls. Her mouth opened, then closed. Something behind her eyes flickered. Not fear. Calculation. "Did he come here?" I nodded slowly. He thought I deserved the truth. She laughed. Laughed. This short, flat thing. Like I just accused her of stealing office supplies. "Oh my God," she muttered, turning away. "I can't believe he actually came here. That's a wow. That's pathetic. Pathetic." She was calling him pathetic. And yet, I stayed quiet. I let her keep going. Let the rope keep feeding from her mouth. "You seriously believe him?" she asked, spinning to face me now, arms crossed. "You're taking the word of some guy who clearly has issues over your own wife?" I tilted my head. "So you're saying he's lying?" "I'm saying he's obsessed. I barely talk to him. He's been weird for months, asking me to get drinks after meetings, sending me these texts I never replied to." "Funny," I said, "because he told me you said we were separated." She blinked. That one landed. "That's not," he misunderstood. "We've had problems." "That doesn't mean I told him we weren't together." I stood up, walked into the kitchen, opened the drawer where we keep the petty stuff, batteries, rubber bands, receipts from a life you're not ready to throw away, and pulled out the envelope he'd handed me. "Then maybe you can explain this." I slid it across the counter. Inside, printouts, text messages, screenshots. A photo of her kissing him behind an office building like teenagers who thought shadows made them invisible. She didn't open it. She just stared at it like it might explode. That's taken out of context, she whispered. That was her line. Taken out of context. A man kisses your wife kisses back, and somehow the context is the real culprit. I walked past her and said, I'm going for a drive. You're leaving. She called after me, panic just barely cracking through the shell. No, I replied, hand on the doorknob. You left. I'm just catching up. Then I closed the door. Not slammed. Not stormed. Just closed. The way you close a chapter. I didn't go far that night. Just down the hill to the overlook, where you can see the town blink like it's trying to remember if it matters. I sat on the hood of my car with the kind of stillness that only comes after your reality gets kicked in the teeth. The breeze was cold. Not slap you in the face cold. Just honest. My phone buzzed once. Then again. Emma. First. Can we talk? Then. Please just come home. I didn't mean to hurt you. Then. I only kissed him. It didn't go any further. It didn't mean anything. That's always the sequel to betrayal, isn't it? It didn't mean anything to her. Like emotional bankruptcy is fine if you say it wasn't an investment. I stared at her messages until the screen dimmed. Then I opened the voice recorder on my phone. And I started talking. Not to her. To myself. To a future me who might try to rewrite the story someday, soften the blow, remember her in warm light. I recorded everything. What Nate said. What she didn't deny. How my hands didn't shake, not because I was calm, but because I was frozen through. Then I went home. Quietly. The house was dark except for the kitchen light. She was there, no mascara, hoodie up like shame makes you chilly. She looked up like I might be the answer to a question she hadn't earned the right to ask. I didn't sit. I didn't even take off my coat. We'll talk, I said. Just not tonight. She opened her mouth like she had a script ready. I raised a hand. I said, not tonight. She flinched like I'd screamed it. But I didn't raise my voice. That's the thing about silence. It carries more weight when people expect noise. I went to the guest room. Locked the door. Slept with my back to the wall and my phone under my pillow. Because something in me knew. This wasn't over. This was just intermission. And what came next? Well, let's just say I stopped thinking like a husband. And started thinking like a strategist. You can't fight a ghost with feelings. So the next morning, while she moved around the kitchen pretending toast makes a marriage, I started cataloging. Not arguments. Not memories. Evidence. I didn't even eat breakfast. Just took my coffee, black and silent, and headed to my office, door closed, headphones on, the universal signal for not now. I didn't want to know if she was sorry. I wanted to know how long. First stop? The family iPad. Innocent little rectangle that we mostly used for recipes and Zillow window shopping. Thing is, Emma had her email logged in. Big mistake. The inbox wasn't smoking. It wasn't lit up with anything explicit. But I wasn't looking for fire. I was looking for embers. And there they were. Archived messages from her team lead, Nate. Meeting recaps that turned personal. Subject lines like, drinks after Thursday? And still thinking about that joke you told smiling face with smiling eyes. Real subtle stuff. But I scrolled far enough to find one marked important, flagged in red. Subject. Hey, last night. That was the first pulse of heat in my chest. Inside? Nothing graphic. Just 10 words that rearranged my ribs. Hope you're okay. I'm still buzzing from it all. I checked the date. 2 weeks ago. We were in Charleston that weekend. Visiting her parents. She said she was too tired for the beach on Saturday. Took a work call. I sat back, staring at the ceiling like it might spell out answers. That's when I decided this was no longer about mourning. This was data recovery. Next stop? The cloud. See, Emma was organized. Too organized. She used folders for everything, photos, notes, even vacation ideas. She once told me she liked preserving the good stuff. So I opened her Google Photos. At first, it was all selfies, brunch shots, dog pics. Safe. Then I noticed a hidden folder archived, not deleted, titled Miscellaneous. And I'm not proud to admit it, but I clicked. There were 5 photos. The first one was blurry. A hotel room. Cheap lighting. 1 glass of wine on the nightstand. A hand, his, reaching toward the lens like he'd just noticed. The second? Her reflection in a mirror, standing in a dress I'd never seen. Same hotel. The third was the killer. Emma. Laughing. Holding a man's face in her hands like it was a memory she wanted to bottle. I didn't zoom in. Didn't need to. There's a very specific way people look at each other when they think no one else matters. She'd never looked at me like that, not in years. I should have felt rage. But all I felt was strategic. The way a chess player feels when he finally sees the pattern. I opened a folder on my own laptop, titled it Exit Plan, copied the photos there, screenshotted the emails. I wasn't planning anything rash, not yet, but I knew this. If she was rewriting our history, I was keeping the original draft. Around noon, I stepped out of the office and found her on the couch scrolling through her phone, acting like this was just another Saturday. She looked up, forced a smile. Want to take the dog to the lake later? I studied her face. The curve of comfort in her cheekbones. The way she tucked her leg under herself like nothing had ruptured. Sure, I said, because sure is a beautiful lie. At the lake, she tried. Told me stories about coworkers. Laughed too loud at ducks. Reached for my hand halfway through the walk. I let her, because I wasn't done collecting yet. You'd be surprised how much a person reveals when they think they've gotten away with it. That night, after she went to bed, I went back to the office and started digging deeper. Phone records, shared accounts, travel receipts. Found a charge from a boutique hotel 3 towns over. One night stay. Room service ordered under a name I didn't recognize, but the address matched a reservation confirmation I dug out of her email trash folder. I wasn't even mad. I was impressed. She crafted this thing like it was a parallel life, one where I didn't exist except when it was convenient. Where she was someone new, someone spontaneous, unburdened by routine or the sound of my toothbrush every morning. That's when it hit me. She didn't cheat to find someone better. She cheated to find someone else. That was the real betrayal. It wasn't the lies. It wasn't the hotel receipts. It wasn't even the photos. It was the quiet resignation of someone who decided they were done being your person and never bothered to let you know. She hadn't just left me behind. She'd taken the version of me she wanted and left the rest in the garage with the old Christmas lights and broken promises. So I kept digging. Not because I needed more proof. Because I needed closure. My kind. Clean. Cold. Silent. The next morning, I made her breakfast. Eggs. Toast. Coffee. Just the way she liked it. She walked into the kitchen barefoot, hair messy, face half awake. You're in a good mood, she said with a yawn. I smiled. Just felt like cooking. She kissed my cheek. I didn't flinch. Because the plan was in motion now. And she had no idea. Revenge doesn't start with fury. It starts with planning. That Sunday morning, with Emma sipping her coffee at our kitchen island like she hadn't detonated our vows, I started setting the chessboard. The first move? Calm. Because calm unnerves people like her. When you're expected to yell, silence becomes a weapon. She looked up from her phone, wearing that smile that used to mean something. We should do a movie night soon. You and me. I nodded. Sure. Because sure was still my favorite lie. After breakfast, I told her I was heading to the hardware store. Needed something for the leaky faucet in the guest bathroom, a faucet that didn't leak. She didn't ask questions. She rarely did when the truth would be inconvenient. But I wasn't going to the store. I was going to see a man named Grant Morris. Now, you probably don't know Grant. He's not famous. He's not flashy. But he's the guy you call when you need something quietly done. No, not criminal. Clever. We met 6 years ago at a cybersecurity seminar, swapped business cards, and I kept his number in my phone, not because I ever thought I'd need it, but because every man should have a contact like Grant. He ran a boutique digital consultancy, now quiet office above a donut shop, no signage, no receptionist. You buzz, you get buzzed in. Grant opened the door with the same raised eyebrow he always wore. Well, he said, if it isn't Mr. Reliable. To what do I owe the pleasure? I need access, I said. He didn't blink. To Emma's devices. Emails. Calendar. Phone history. Everything. Grant leaned against the doorframe. Wife or soon-to-be? Wife. For now. He nodded slowly. This about divorce? This is about dignity. He stepped aside. Come in. We spent 2 hours setting up a digital mirror of her phone on a secure server. I gave him the iPad she always left in the kitchen drawer. That, along with the shared cloud access and a few forgotten passwords, was all he needed. When I left, he said, "You're calm. That worries me more than anything." I smiled. I'm past the storm. Now I'm just building the ark. That week, I became a ghost in my own house, present, polite, and watching everything. Emma didn't notice. People like her rarely do. She thought my silence meant healing. In reality, I was laying track while she danced on the rails. I kept up appearances, kissed her on the cheek in the mornings, laughed at her bad jokes, even helped her hang string lights on the patio like we were still invested in next season. And while she showered, I watched her text roll in on my laptop from the mirrored server Grant had built. That's how I found out they had a weekend planned. A conference in Denver. Cute. She'd already packed a suitcase she thought I hadn't noticed. Small, sleek. No room for guilt. I didn't confront her. No point storming the castle when you've already bribed the guards. Instead, I called my attorney. A woman named Clarice, whose handshake felt like a gavel. I'm not filing, I told her. Not yet. She raised an eyebrow. Then what do you want? I want to draw the line, I said. I want to make it impossible for her to pretend she's innocent. Clarice tapped her pen. We can do that. Over the next 3 days, I quietly moved money out of our joint account. Nothing suspicious, just transferred small amounts to my personal one. Enough to cover what I needed. I changed the beneficiary on my life insurance. I backed up every file, every photo, every text. I logged everything into a folder on a password-protected drive titled Image Truth. And then, the final piece. I made dinner Friday night. Candlelight. Her favorite pasta. The good wine. She walked in and smiled like nothing had happened. You didn't have to do all this, she said, blushing. Wanted to, I replied. Because liars believe in comfort more than truth. We ate. We laughed. She leaned over and kissed my cheek. And when she disappeared into the bedroom to rest before her early flight, I stayed back and watched the candle burn low. Then I opened my laptop and hit upload. Not to social media. Not yet. Just to OneDrive. Shared with Nate. He deserved to see what she said about him behind his back. The same screenshots I'd seen, the ones where she called him fun but not permanent. The text where she said, Nate's cute, but I could never leave my husband for him. He's not stable enough. The man who came to me out of guilt? He deserved the whole truth. I didn't send it with malice. I sent it with accuracy. At 2 a.m., I watched her suitcase by the door. Her flight was at 8. Her alarm set for 5:30. I knew, because I saw it on the mirrored calendar. I walked into the living room, turned off the light, stared at that suitcase like it was a trophy of her own downfall. And then I opened a fresh envelope and tucked in a single note. Handwritten. Just 4 words. Don't bother coming back. Then I went to bed. Slept like a man who finally put down the weight of pretending. Tomorrow, she'd wake up to find the note. And the locks changed. Morning arrived the way it always does. Too fast for liars, too slow for the people they leave behind. Her alarm went off at 5:30 a.m., just as scheduled. I heard the faint melody through the wall. Then the rustle of sheets, the shuffle of feet, the click of her curling iron being plugged in. I was already up, sitting at the kitchen table, mug of coffee in hand, watching the clock. She came out of the bedroom 15 minutes later, dressed in joggers and a hoodie, her airport casual, the kind that still looked effortlessly composed. She didn't see me at first. She was checking her phone, probably looking for a good morning text from Nate. She didn't find one. Nate, as it turned out, had gotten my file. Image Truth. All the messages where she downplayed him. All the times she'd assured her sister that Nate was just a temporary escape. The photo she'd sent a friend with the caption, Denver's gonna be wild. Not sure which bed I'll be sleeping in winking face. Yeah, I made sure he saw all of it. I didn't send it with spite. I sent it with clarity. She finally noticed me and jumped a little. Oh, hey, you're up early. I didn't respond. Just sipped my coffee and nodded at the note sitting on top of her suitcase. She followed my eyes. Her brows knit. What's that? You'll want to read it. She moved slowly, like her legs weren't quite ready for the emotional terrain ahead. She picked it up, unfolded it. 4 words. Don't bother coming back. The silence between us thickened into something else. Not tension. Not dread. Just inevitability. Her mouth opened, but nothing came out. I stood. Walked to the kitchen sink. Your flight's still on time, by the way, I said without turning around. But your keys won't work when you get back. You're not serious. Oh, I'm very serious, I said, finally facing her. You can still go. You can still have your Denver weekend. You just can't come home after. She looked at me, really looked at me, maybe for the first time in months. Elijah. And just like that, I knew this moment wasn't going to be clean. Because cheaters don't like losing their safety net. They like drama, sure, but they like options more. You went through my stuff? No, I said calmly. You left your entire digital life lying around like a trail of breadcrumbs for someone who wasn't sleepwalking. You didn't even bother hiding it. That's the part that stings the most, not the lies. The laziness. Elijah, please, she said, stepping toward me. It wasn't like that. Oh no? Then tell me what it was like, Emma. Was it a work retreat? A networking event? Or just a really expensive excuse to share a king-size bed with someone who thinks white wine and charisma make him dangerous? I was unhappy, she said. You never noticed how distant we'd become. No, Emma. I noticed. I just didn't realize you were using the silence to audition replacements. Her voice cracked. You don't understand. I understand plenty. I understand you thought I'd never do anything. That I'd sit quietly and let it pass. That you'd come home with a fake tan and a carry-on full of guilt, and I'd just be grateful you came back. She looked away. Bingo. I saw the photos. The reservations. The texts. The parts of yourself you gave to someone else while telling me we were just in a rough patch. You didn't just lie. You planned. That wasn't planning, she said, her voice soft, defensive. It was escaping. Same thing, I said. You just didn't expect the door to lock behind you. She reached for her phone, maybe instinctively looking for help, or maybe to call Nate and regroup. I tilted my head. Go ahead. Call him. See if he still wants to split a hotel room with someone who made him a backup plan. Her hand froze. Oh yes. She hadn't gotten that memo yet. I didn't tell her what Nate had sent me in return. How he'd replied with nothing but a single sentence. Didn't know I was the side dish. Apparently, he didn't like being played either. That made two of us. Emma sat down on the edge of the couch like her knees had betrayed her. You blindsided me. I laughed, low and humorless. I blindsided you. Yes, she snapped, suddenly alive with the kind of fire she used to save for traffic and customer service calls. You staged this whole ambush. Why didn't you just talk to me? I stared at her. You think this is an ambush? No, Emma. This is a mirror, and I'm sorry if you don't like what's in it. She pressed a hand to her forehead, like the headache of consequence had finally arrived. I made mistakes. That's generous, I said. But I didn't want to lose everything. You already did. You just didn't notice. She sat in silence, her shoulders sagging. I watched her. No anger. No pity. Just the end of a very long ledger. Then I turned, walked to the front door, and opened it. Flight leaves in 2 hours. You should go. You might still make it in time for dinner. She didn't move. So I added, or stay. Either way, your access code's been changed. Your stuff will be boxed. My lawyer's expecting your reply by Tuesday. And with that, I stepped outside, let the morning sun hit my face, and closed the door. Behind me, a woman sitting in the ruins of her own rewrite. In front of me, peace, and the sound of a new beginning stretching its legs. She texted me an hour later. We need to talk. I didn't reply. Can we please just talk? Nothing. The third text came with a voicemail. Her voice cracked halfway through. I didn't mean to hurt you. I swear. I got lost, Eli. I didn't plan for any of this to happen. That was the problem, wasn't it? She did plan it. Just not the fallout. By noon, she was gone. Not on her flight, though. I knew because I'd canceled her booking. She drove somewhere. I saw the GPS ping on the iPad still linked to our account. She went to her sister's house, which was fitting. Emma always ran to people who didn't ask hard questions. By evening, she'd called me 6 times. By morning, 12. Her final voicemail was simple. I think I made the biggest mistake of my life. That's when I blocked her. Not because I was angry anymore. That part had passed. I blocked her because I was finally done. You know what happens when you ghost someone who's used to you being available? They unravel. You go from wallpaper to wildfire. They start calling your friends, your family, showing up in places you used to go. I got a text from my friend Rachel 2 days later. Emma's trying to get a hold of you. Should I be worried? I replied, only if she starts remembering who I used to be. Because that man, the one who kept forgiving, kept swallowing disappointment, he was gone. She wanted access. I gave her absence. I didn't fall apart. I rearranged. Moved into a smaller place on the edge of town. Rented a loft above an old music shop with creaky floors and good coffee next door. The kind of place that makes you forget what you left behind, until you're grateful you did. I got back into photography, bought myself a new camera, and started waking up at sunrise like I used to in college, chasing light instead of explanations. One afternoon, I saw her. She was at the farmer's market, same brown boots, same loose cardigan she always wore in early fall. Her hair shorter now, her eyes scanning the crowd like she was expecting a miracle. She didn't see me. I made sure of it. Because I wasn't there to be found. I was there to see if she still looked free. She didn't. She looked hollow. Like someone who had opened every door and found herself alone in the house she burned down. She posted a photo that night on Instagram, sunflowers, and a quote about second chances. The caption read, "Growth is messy, but necessary." I muted her account. Let her preach into the void. 3 weeks after the last voicemail, I wrote her a letter. Not for reconciliation, for closure. But I never sent it. It sits in a drawer, inside a plain white envelope. Just a few lines. Emma, you didn't break me. You broke the version of me that let you stay. Thank you for that. You freed me the moment you mistook my silence for weakness. I hope he was worth it. I hope the lie tasted sweet on the way down. And I hope you know, I never hated you. I just stopped recognizing the person I once trusted with everything. That was the last time I ever wrote her name. See, when people ask if I got revenge, they expect fireworks. Scandal. A scene. But real revenge? It's not loud. It's invisible. It's in living better than they imagined you could. It's in the clean apartment with no ghost smells. In the quiet mornings with no tension in the air. In the new smile you wear. Not because someone gave it to you, but because you finally remembered it was yours. It's in letting them wonder. Because trust me, she wonders. I know because her cousin reached out 2 months later. Said she still talks about me. Still asks how I'm doing. Still wears the necklace I bought her for our 3rd anniversary like it means something again. She misses you, she said. I nodded. I don't, I replied. No cruelty in my voice. Just the weight of survival. And that was the cruelest part. Because when the smoke clears, when the dust settles, and when the mirror cracks, she's left with everything she destroyed. And I'm just gone. Like I never needed to scream. Like I never had to explain. Like my silence was always the plan.